The World Cup group stages are finally over. Right, so like I said, the World Cup group stages, the greatest World Cup group stages I've ever seen in my life, are over. They produce so much drama, so much to the end. A few City players got knocked out. A few surprising City players getting knocked out. But look, we're here to give you the rundown of those City players. First off, chronological, maybe not chronological order. We're going in order as Fatma have them down. Nathan Ake played 90 minutes, I'm pretty sure. It's Qatar, mate. What do you want me to say? Then, moving on, that same night, England played Wales and they absolutely thumped them, courtesy of a Phil Foden goal, his first English goal, which is pretty mad to say. He's been in that set for a while. I'm surprised it was. I'm surprised. Or was it his first World Cup goal?
His first World Cup goal.
Ah, shit, right, so he has scored for England. Never mind, scratch that. But look, I mean, two fairly straightforward things. Both teams were practically, if not already, true. England looked a lot better playing Foden. What can you say, really, Joe, about those first two games? Because they're pretty boring.
They were pretty boring because there were no contests. I mean, if you just look at the other games across the tournament, I mean, you can just have a look at some of the wild outcomes, some of which we will get onto. But Netherlands playing Qatar, Qatar being whatever you want to say about the tournament itself, Qatar as a footballing nation, the worst host nation that a World Cup has ever seen. So, you know, Netherlands were practically through before a ball was kicked. Same thing with England. Wales they got a draw against the US. I think a few people were kind of sat there going, oh, you know, Wales, they might be dark horses to progress, and then they lose to Iran, get the goalkeeper sent off, and they get battered by England. When they need a 4-0 win, they go and lose 3-0, almost 4-0. Like, it's not a good showing. Both teams were practically through. They needed miracles to not progress. Like I said, England needed a 4-0 loss to Wales to not go through. So they were pretty much home and hose at that point. Of course, Phil Foden, he was the main talking point from Group A and B because he scored. I think he also won the free kick that Rashford scored as well. Of course, Nathan Ake, clean sheet against Qatar. It's nothing to shout about, really. So, all in all, it's not too exciting. Two teams that were halfway there to the knockouts anyway, and I'm sure that, you know, I think Netherlands, they play the US, and England, they play Senegal. So, like, it's getting interesting in the knockout stage, but their groups were pretty straightforward, and, I mean, it showed on the last day. Like, neither of the games were close.
Yeah, no, I do agree. They're both just a gulf in class between the two teams that won, two teams that lost. Sorry, I don't know. I think that was really cut and dry. Everyone kind of expected it, but yeah, this was probably also expected. Julian Alvarez is a fucking star. What a boy. What a goal. What a player. He's better than Lautaro Martinez. Lautaro Martinez is shit. I'm sorry. I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't mean any real disrespect. He was piss poor for 2.5 games. And even the game he came on for, he looked awful as well. The man's like Gabriel Jesus. He can't hold his run. He's always offside. I understand one of his goals that were ruled offside wasn't offside. To be fair, he was off by that. You can't score with that. Come off it. A funny penalty given in the game, rightfully missed. Thank God, never a penalty. But with me being secretly an admirer, of Argentina, seeing them give that penalty, they must want them to win it. I'm all for it, I'm afraid. We had no one else in that group, or in Group D for that matter, so it's kind of a bit boring. But Joe, talk me through Julian Alvarez and Argentina.
Well, I mean, he finally got given his chance, didn't he, after not playing for the first two group games for some reason. I don't know why, to be honest, because Lautaro Martinez showed zero composure, zero ability to time his runs, and genuinely no end product. So it's about time, really. It was almost like maybe it was because it was a do or die. They just decided, you know what, we'll just throw him on there because, you know, Frillou's probably out. But he scored, didn't he? He scored an absolute cracker. A goal that Lautaro Martinez could only dream of, especially this tournament. But again, we've been calling for it. We know how special he is. We also know how much we paid for him, which was absolutely nothing. We absolutely robbed River Plate blind for £17 million. But all in all, I expected them to qualify, especially considering I know Messi didn't get a goal. He did miss the penalty, but like he is inevitable. Let's be honest. The man's inevitable. He was getting out of that group stage. He wasn't letting his last World Cup be a group stage exit in a group that contained Saudi Arabia, Poland, and Mexico. Like he wasn't letting that one slide, and he still had a good game, even though he missed a penalty. Like he got no involvements, and he was still great. But Alvarez, cherry on the cake, second goal. He came off for Lautaro Martinez, presumably because again, he's just the biggest case of load management going in football at the moment because he's played the Argentinian calendar, which he has not stopped. He's played football for pretty much an entire calendar year, which is wild.
He's just so good. He's so good. He can do it. I love him to death, man. I know we were shouting for maybe a bit of an improvement on his part, but ever since Haaland got injured, he just really fits seamlessly into every team we've played. Moving on, there's not much you can really say about it. Germany booted out for being shit, right? Gundogan, I love him to death, right? He was probably one of the better players, but by God, it was shocking. I saw you liked it on Twitter, so I saw Rafael van der Vaart had to say on the defence saying that Nicolas Sula is the German Harry Maguire. I don't think I got that far personally, but I don't watch Nicolas Sula. That was crazy. I mean, we'll talk about the Spain game too, I suppose. I think Laporte was dropped. He was rested. Rodri played centre half again, 200 odd passes. I think he broke a record. What a player! But like, I don't know. Those two games are a little bit. They were exciting in the scenario of it, but it got to the point where you kind of knew Spain just wanted them gone. Also, the ball was in. Stop crying. If you're crying over that, you don't know perspective, I'm afraid. Joe, talk to me about Groupie.
The probably wildest group of the lot, really, because there was a time where both Spain and Germany were heading out. They were in third and fourth, which, I mean, no one expected that. I still stand by my comments of don't sleep on Spain, because at the end of the day, they didn't really want to beat Japan. Let's be clear. I think they much rather fancied the route to the final through finishing second, especially what happened in the other groups, playing no pushovers in Morocco, but I think they avoid Brazil by finishing second, and Japan have to go through that route, and it knocks Germany out, who, I mean, again, I don't think they'd go too far to meet Spain, but again, like, it knocks out a good team. I think they really weren't too bothered about winning that and topping the group and helping out Germany. They would have taken that. Of course, there was a bit of panic stations for about a minute where Costa Rica were winning and they were going out, but I think everyone didn't expect that to last. It was a nice feeling having the entire group flipped on its head from the start of the group to about an hour in. But I think everybody knew that because Germany had to win to stand the chance, they were going to win that game because Costa Rica were absolutely dreadful the whole tournament. I don't know how they were ahead in that game, but you know, I'm happy Gundogan's coming home. Another player home that it means we actually have a midfield for the return of club football, because again, you know, the final being a day before we go and play the Carabao Cup against Liverpool, there's a big chance that we're going to have players who make it to the latter stages just not playing for the first 2 or 3 games of the restart of the season. So I will take any players coming back with open arms, even though they might be disappointed. I don't care. It's cynical. I don't care. Club football is the focus here. And of course, Spain, which I haven't really commented on too much, they didn't want to win. They were more than happy to keep 80% of the ball, let Rodri have his 400 touches and 200 passes, and just keep it moving. They weren't really bothered. They did make a few subs that seemed like, you know, they might want to win the game, but I think they'll be happy finishing second, just qualifying through, getting to the next stage, and no injuries or suspensions really on that side of things. And you know what, it's like Spain was the most boring because they just kind of let Japan win. They didn't really try and go for it. But Germany, man, I mean, this is the second time they've been grouped in a row. It's fun times. Fun times.
Okay, so the last player in that kind of match day was Kevin De Bruyne. Belgium knocked out. Bit maybe shockingly. I mean, if I had Romelu Lukaku up front, I wouldn't really be expected to go through because by God, some of the chances he missed, I could have thrown my nanny at and she would have scored. But look, another player home, like you said, you already mentioned Gundogan, man. But De Bruyne is going home. Like you said, a full midfield for the Carabao Cup. I'm going to it. I can't wait. Joe, speak on the golden generation, as they're putting it.
The golden generation that I'd say probably did less than England's last golden generation. Like, it's one of the worst golden generations I've witnessed in my lifetime, and they were the number one ranked nation in the world for a time of that as well. Like, they were never that good. They were never all that. It was just kind of, I say kind of, not really pressing. I don't think that, a lot of people big them up for big things, and then I think this tournament ultimately fell apart. I mean, you saw the first game against Canada, and they never should have won that. They never should have won that. And then De Bruyne comes out and says they're never going to win anything because they're all too old now. As soon as that happens, it's all going to fall apart because heads drop, and then there was the rumours coming out that there's been fights inside the camp and players aren't speaking to each other, and it just kind of all falls apart from there. Martinez is gone as manager. I don't know whether he was sacked or resigned, one or the other. It doesn't really matter. That's just the details of it. Like, no one really cares. But that golden generation is over. I mean, was it ever even a golden generation to begin with? Like, they had good players, but they never did anything. I think that's about as well as you can sum it up. They're home. He's home. I'm happy he's home. And maybe now he will retire from international football and save the headache of him always seeming to pick up an injury when he's away at international tournaments, because he always does it. And I'm hoping that listen, he always does it, and I'm hoping that maybe Gundogan will take the same decision, because I mean, if he stays on, if he leaves, I'm not, he's not a City player, so I'm not that asked about it, but players like that, where you look at the national teams and you go, you're probably past it, you probably don't have a chance of really winning anything for the next few years. Like, I kind of hope that he just calls it, because if he's saying he's too old, the squad is too old to win anything, he might, like, there was no point of him turning up for this one. I'd just call it if I was him.
Yeah, so would I, to be honest. I think they're just kind of they're past it. Like, letting Martinez handle that generation was the worst decision anyone has ever made in the football sense. Going on to the night's games, Ederson, 90 minutes, not a clean sheet, conceded to Abubakar, who proceeded to dap the referee up. Respect, man, respect Abubakar. He got knocked out, but he wanted to go out and style Cameroon's first World Cup victory in 20 years. What a player. Manuel Akanji conceded to, but he's true. He's class. Joe, speak to me before I talk about Portugal, because they're already true. We're not really talking about them.
And I'm just going to kind of include that talk more on Switzerland, maybe a little bit. I didn't actually watch that game because it was on a non-HD channel and my eyes were burning. I hate ITV4. Because it doesn't have a HD version, but of course you keep your eye on it. It was 2-2 at half time. Like, it's another mental game where Switzerland are 1-0 up, they're going through, then Serbia come back, they're 2-1 up, and then they're going through, and then you look at, it's 2-2 at half time, and I think at that point Switzerland were ahead on goal difference or something like that, and Switzerland come out the block straight away and get another one and hold on. Of course, again, we spoke on it before. I'd prefer if Akanji was to come home early on, because I quite like to have him back, but at the end of the day, not really too pushed at this stage. I'd quite like at least two of the centre halves to come back fairly early on, because I'd quite like to have a defence against Liverpool and a fairly rested Mo Salah. That'd be nice. But now, Manuel Akanji, one of the all-time Premier League greats of defenders, up there with your Vidic's and your Ferdinands. Had this conversation already. Happy for him that he's
had this conversation on one of our many streams. Like, he's one of the greatest players of all time, in my opinion.
I'm happy he's got through. Happy for him. Of course, Ederson played. I kind of touched on it last one that he might play because Brazil are through. He made a good save. I don't think there's really much you can do about the goal, but they were through. They didn't really care too much. And then Portugal, same thing. Cancelo was the only player who started, and he played the whole game, and they lost, which knocked out Uruguay, which means Darwin Núñez is going home early. I don't know how he continued to start. He played 3 games and didn't score.
Okay, so that kind of wraps it up, to be honest with you. There wasn't much to talk about from the City players, but look, I mean, we go into a great knockout round now after a great start to the group stage. So much drama. It was, it was really good. It was really good to sit down and watch. But look, we have the knockout round starting tomorrow. Tomorrow when we're filming this. I can't wait, personally. I think it's going to be great crack. Look, trying to hit 5k, you know the message. Get there before New Year. That would be absolutely unbelievable. Like, share, comment, does everything. A comment goes a long way, boys. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Listen to your heart. Tell me who you want to be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand.